Hello, this is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. And tonight we have a very special program. I'm actually going to be doing kind of a response to Lauren Southern's video. Now it's not going to be like a response because I'm going to do something a little bit different. Now, as you know, as many of you know, I'm a writer. You know, I've published books. I study the human condition a lot to really try to understand them so I can write characters about them. And when I watched this video, I was just amazed by how much human characteristics was present in that video. And I kind of feel like it's a teaching opportunity. Now, I don't really try to mix my activism with my writing. I try to keep those two as separate as I can, but this is too much of a good opportunity to pass up, to not, really analyze this further. And any would-be writers within the movement, this is a good opportunity for you to see this in action. You know, usually I tell people to watch Kitchen Nightmares because that's human action, that's human behavior in action, how people react to certain things, how they lie, how they plead, how they blame other people for things that they're responsible for. And in this video, with what Lauren went through, and it's very unfortunate that she ended up getting attacked with a bottle of piss. And I'm not really going to address that because so many other people have. You know, it's unfortunate that happened, but the rest of it is fantastic. And I got to give major kudos to Lauren Southern for really holding her ground in this situation. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play the video. And I've started it about 1 minute or so. And then I'm going to play it a little bit, and you can watch it. And then I'm going to pause it at various points to kind of explain what you should be noticing. Might even replay a couple of parts just so you can see what I mean. So let us go ahead and get started today. By the way, just to let everyone know, I'm actually on my desktop computer right now. Everything is working. So I'm very happy that the new part that I got helped my computer. So higher quality stuff. All right. So hopefully this works. I haven't tested this out. Let's try to do this.
Like rape, and I saw your face, and you were kind of like laughing, and smirking. I could just by your body language, it was like you were like mocking it, and it's nothing to be.
Now, here's something I want you to take notice of. Is this girl in the gray sweater? She is blinking very rapidly. Let's take another look at that. Let me just.
And I saw your face, and you were kind of like laughing, and smirking. I could just by your body language, it was like you were like mocking it, and it's nothing to be mocked at.
Lying about.
I counted 17, but I think I missed a few times. She blinked 17 times, probably 20 times in a 15-second period. Actually, it started in 10 seconds. Now, yes, people blink for a variety of reasons. And I'm sure someone will try to claim that, oh, no, it's nothing insidious. She must have had something in her eye. No. Because she would have done other things to indicate that was the problem. Usually when someone blinks this much in a short amount of time, it indicates that they're lying or they're saying something they don't truly believe. From this, we can gather that what she is saying, that she is saying something that she knows, at least on a subconscious level. Maybe on a conscious level, she believes it to be true, but on a subconscious level, she knows it to be false. She's basically saying that Lauren Southern, is a bad person, and because she's smirking about rape, she doesn't actually believe this. She is lying. The question is whether or not she knows that she's lying. But I'm willing to bet that on a subconscious, well, actually, I'm willing to bet that she does know. She does know, and she's doing this just to be hurtful. She's trying to put Lauren in a defensive position. She's trying to attack her character. Now, this is also known as an ad hominem attack, in which she is using Lauren's moral character, or expressing her lack of moral character, to undermine anything she has to say. Well, you are the person who laughs at rape, so, any point you make thereafter is invalid. And that's an ad hominem attack. By the way, if I get any of these wrong, please let me know and I will try to correct them. And of course, if you're in the chat with me tonight, feel free to leave a message and I will try to read it as best as I can. So let's listen to the words and watch her eyes once more. We'll start this a little bit further back.
Subject like rape, and I saw your face, and you were kind of like laughing, and smirking. I could just by your body language, it was like you were like mocking it, and it's nothing to be mocked at.
Lying about rape. I'm not mocking rape victims. I'm mocking lying about incidents that happen.
So, believe that rape doesn't happen. Oh wait, oops, hold on. Gotta play this a little bit longer before we get to that point.
When people who are coming out to say they represent victims lie and say that things that didn't happen, that does not help real victims. This woman raped me. Do you believe women? Believe women. Believe my truth. Believe my truth.
Who's there when little kids get raped?
Believe my truth.
Do you not?
You just said you need to believe women's truths.
Well,
You just said that.
You're just mocking.
Women can advocate for themselves and explain what they've been through. Who's there to witness when little kids are raped?
No one believes people when they report the rapes. It's people like you.
I believe people when there are evidence, and you know what? If there's no evidence, then I really hope they get justice, but I don't believe in putting people in jail when there is no evidence for a crime. That is wrong. Innocent until proven guilty. Do you believe in innocent until proven guilty?
Rapes don't happen unless there's innocent.
I never said that. I never said that. I said that you have to have a level of skepticism.
Now, notice what she said there. So you believe that rape doesn't happen unless there's evidence. Now, this is a straw man attack. There's a lot of logical fallacies that they go through. It's almost like we should play like logical fallacy bingo, because by the end of this, I think half of us would get a bingo. There's just so many that they do. So this is a straw man attack. Rather than address what she actually said, the girl attempts to misrepresent the argument made by Lauren to put her on the defensive. Whenever logical fallacies are used, it's always used to put people on the defensive. Rather than address what they actually said, they instead try to say, well, you need to defend your position, so I'm going to say something, now you need to defend yourself, and never have to answer the original question. So this is a straw man attack. In a way, it's not 100%, but it's very close to a straw man attack. Okay, so let us continue.
You have to have a level of waiting for evidence. You cannot convict a man without evidence, innocent until proven guilty.
Now you're assuming that it's just men that rape too now.
Okay, so only assuming men can rape. Now, this is a straw man attack. She's misrepresenting her argument by saying, oh, well, you only think this is the only thing you said. But this is actually also something a little bit different. This is what we call tu quo qui. basically Lauren is attacking the cognitive bias of automatically believing women. She's like, believe my truth, okay? And the gray hooded girl is attacking her on the logical fallacy of only men can rape, once again putting Lauren on the defensive. Instead of addressing the logical fallacy that Lauren is bringing about and saying, hey, what about this? I mean, this is what you all say, so, believe me because I just showing the fault of their logic. They instead attack her logical fallacy, even though she's not really making one. You could technically say that she is making one because she's only implying that men can rape, but that really wasn't her argument. She was only given an example, okay? But instead of addressing her point, they attack her and put her again on the defensive. All right, so let us continue on.
You just, oh my gosh.
That's just women rape too, absolutely. I was just giving an example, and you know that you're just trying to find something to be offended by.
Deal with rape.
Trying to find something to be offended by. And Lauren is actually right. That is exactly what she's trying to do. By using the fallacy of tu quo qui, that's so fun to say. I actually had to write it out phonetically because to actually read it is like, okay. Anyways, so note that the hooded girl couldn't even let her finish her point. She stopped halfway just to show she's offended. She can't bring up an argument, so she can't even... Oh, wait. I think Yeah, she was based... Hold on, let's go back to see that.
Like, you just, oh my gosh. That's just...
Yeah, right there. Oh my gosh. She couldn't finish her point because she doesn't really have one. She was just trying to show that she's offended. It's like, oh my God, I'm so offended. I can't possibly argue with you anymore, even though she does. But she's being offended just to stop the conversation because Lauren is making a valid point and they don't know how to defend against that. The thing is, that we have to see in a lot of human behavior, and I'm not going to say this is what feminists do or this is anything like that. This is human behavior. A lot of people will end up taking on the defense of something based on what other people have said. So when they defend, when they make a point like, oh, well, you only believe this and this and this, they're quoting someone else more often than not. They're not thinking for themselves. They most likely have not thought for themselves as far as what these things are. And often gender studies class does that. It just basically drills into them what the supposed truth is. So when people argue it, that's all they know. There's a really great scene in Good Will Hunting in which the preppy kid in the bar is arguing a point, and Will basically is like, you're quoting from the textbook. That's all you're doing. You don't have an original thought. You're just regurgitating what you learn. And that's what's happening here, is that they probably think they have really thought about it, but they haven't. They're only regurgitating with what they have. And when Lauren responds in a way that they're not ready for, they begin to crumble. And it's like, I don't know how to argue against that, so I will do everything I can to draw the attention away from me and put it back to you. So her being offended just to be offended and putting Lauren on the defensive, then saying, oh, I can't even argue with you anymore. She didn't say that directly, but that was basically the sentiment. So the pushes it back onto Lauren and keeping it away from herself. Now, yeah, we can easily say this is just something that feminists do, and I've seen a lot of feminists do this, but this is something a lot of people do, okay? And social justice warriors, they're kind of like a special type of person. And when I say special, I mean wingding special. They generally represent the worst qualities of humankind. But to a degree, almost all humans exhibit some of these behaviors. Generally not this succinct, so close together, but this defensiveness that they have and trying to push it away from themselves when they're not ready for that. So just be aware, I'm not saying that only social justice warriors do this. So let us go ahead and continue for a little bit.
Rape too, absolutely. I was just giving an example, and you know that you're just trying to find something to be offended by.
Deal with rape and that kind of violence when usually it's behind closed doors. It's usually happens in homes. Usually parents rape their own children or family members. The most common form of sexual violence is incest. So
I know it is absolutely awful, and the way we deal with that is by improving the systems we have, continuing. But the reason that I contest a lot of radical feminists today is because no matter what methods we improve, we cannot bring in guilty until proven innocent. We cannot.
It's ironic that a woman is saying a radical feminist, talking about radical. So are you a feminist?
Of course not.
So notice what this girl in the gray hooded sweater is now doing. They all yeah, hive mind. They all spout the exact same shit, and that's what ends up happening, because they all use the same resource to make their points from, and never really think about their point. They all end up saying the exact same thing and tend to have the same reaction. But this can be any group of people that does this, not just feminists. I keep stressing that because I want to make sure that we understand that this is a lesson in human behavior, not necessarily social justice warrior behavior. Although I'm sure you can take that away. Now, the smirking at Lauren's use of radical feminists. That's what she's doing. I find it interesting that a woman is talking about radical feminists. Changing the topic to avoid answering her question. Lauren is talking about guilty until proven innocent. And instead of addressing that point, she's changing the topic. Now this, well, in a way, this is personal incredulity. Sorry, I cannot speak. But this is also ambiguity. Wow, really bad tonight. Ambiguity bias. That basically leads into moving the goalposts, changing the subject to talk about what feminism is, which we're going to see in a moment, so they don't have to answer any of her claims, and then trying to define by trying to define what feminism is, and making that the point of the conversation. Let's not discuss rape. Let's not discuss innocent until proven guilty. Let's first ask, Lauren, are you a feminist? No? Well, I believe feminism. Who cares what feminism means? We were just talking about rape. We were just talking about innocent until proven guilty. She asked a direct question. Do you believe that of innocent until proven guilty? And instead of answering that, she changes the subject. And she does so, yeah, pretty swiftly. It happened naturally within the conversation, but yeah. And in this entire thing, they never answered the questions that Lauren had about rape, and never answered the questions about innocent until proven guilty, or pretty much any question that Lauren asked, because they're too busy deflecting. Let me double check comments. Okay. All right, so let me get caught up in my notes here. All right, let's go.
You're not a feminist, so feminism really is women wanting equal rights to men. So you don't think that you just...
There are a lot of different feminists. There are a lot of different... I believe Christina Hoff-Summers is a feminist who wants equality. I absolutely believe that. I don't think someone like Andrea Dworkin is a feminist who wants equality. I don't think feminists who have been quoted saying we should put men in concentration camps are feminists that want equality. There are different types of feminists.
Notice what the girl in purple did here when she said that. Let me replay that just real quick. Watch the girl in purple. Watch her face.
Who have been quoted saying we should put men in concentration camps are feminists that want equality. There are different types of feminists.
She smiles, closes her eyes, and shakes her head no. She's probably heard this argument before, probably in her echo chamber, safe space class. You know, somewhere she's heard this argument before and thinking it's used by all anti-feminists, and think it's funny because Dworkin's not really a feminist. This, of course, leads into no true Scotsman fallacy, which Lauren is about to bring up. Feminists employ this a lot. People do, but feminists really do. Rather than to take responsibility of what others have done in the name of feminism, they claim that anyone like that is not really a feminist. Now, yeah, a lot of people do this. I mean, the No True Scotsman does have a founding within Scotland that, you know, people claiming to be Scottish are not really Scottish if they don't wear a kilt or something like that. Or, you know, if they wear anything underneath their kilt, they're not really Scotsmen, you know, things like that. And this is a common tactic that we do, which is called in-group bias. And that anyone within a group that adheres to certain principles or certain protocols is a part of that. But if some outlier does something in the name of that group, then they're not really a part of us. Now, if someone did something that was really good, oh yeah, they're a part of us. But then if they do something that's really bad, they're like, oh, they weren't really a part of us. And Anita Sarkeesian, right now, she's considered by many to be in the in-group. But the moment she messes up, the moment she does something really, really, really stupid, and she's done stupid things before, but to a point that all feminists hate her, then many feminists will claim, oh, well, she was never really a feminist. And that's just what happens. Now, feminists are really bad about this, but again, all people do this kind of behavior. And if you are watching, feel free to leave a comment and I will try to read it on the air. So let us continue.
I don't think there's different types of feminists.
No, so would you say the feminists who say I want equality for both genders and one that says I want women to be superior are the same?
No, they're not feminists.
They're not feminists. Okay, well, I mean, you can say that, but that's the no true Scotsman theory. That's the no true Scotsman fallacy.
I asked you if you were a feminist and you said no. And
No,
I'm a feminist because I believe in equality for men and for women and men. And for
Now, notice her doing the blinking again. She's saying, I believe in equality for women and men. And she's doing a lot of blinking. Now, it's not as bad as it was before. I mean, I think she did it like 4 or 5 times within like a 3-second space. So she wasn't constantly blinking through that whole thing, but she was noticeably blinking. And, you know, someone might say, well, you're just noticing, you're reading too much into it. Look at her throughout the rest of the conversation. When she is saying something she knows to be true, her blinking rate goes down a lot. It's actually more consistent than someone who is lying. Now, I don't know what she's lying about or she's being dishonest about. Maybe she doesn't really believe that feminism is about that. Maybe it's a prepared statement. You know, like someone says that this is the prepared statement that you make. I don't know. Now, it's not always an indication of lying. It can be a stress trigger, that something is stressing the brain in what she is saying. Now, with that argument, someone could be like, well, Lauren is stressing her out. No. Being stressed out by an external force would not cause someone to start blinking like that. I'm sure someone could find something somewhere that says, yes, it is. But for the most part, no. She's being dishonest about something she said. And more than likely, she knows that feminism is not about that, even though that is her prepared statement for that answer. But it is possible, although unlikely, maybe she had something in her eye at that time. However, the first time we witnessed her and she blinked like 20 times in a 10-second period, like 2 blinks per second. Try to do that yourself. Try 1, 2, 3. I mean, that's like disco light, like a strobe effect. So maybe there's a possibility, a very minor possibility, that she is just blinking because her eyes got irritated. But I think she's being dishonest here somewhere. All right, so let me... Now, what she's doing here is an appeal to authority. Now, she's moved the goalpost, defined what feminism is, used the no true Scotsman fallacy, but she's stating what feminism is, and that feminism is the authority on gender equality, to make women equal to men. So she's defined this as the authority, and then says that she is a part of this group, and even suggesting that because Lauren doesn't identify herself as a feminist, it means that she doesn't want this. So there's several different fallacies that she's doing at once here. But we've kind of already covered them, and we're going to cover some others. But, I mean, this has gone into a conversation, an actual conversation about something, and turned into, we're putting you on the defensive. And we're not going to answer anything, and we're going to try to push you into a corner and try to trap you. Unfortunately, it's not going to work quite so well. Let me update my notes.
For all genders.
So women and men.
No, all genders.
So women and men.
There's women.
There are 2 genders biologically. I'm sorry.
There isn't. There's you're not now you're totally excluding, transgender, non-binary, gender fluid people, and these.
I mean, you can live in your unicorn world.
I'm going to assume that you're a cisgender straight woman, because you obviously
that's really true.
and that you probably haven't ever been raped either.
I actually identify as an.
Now, okay, so she was actually blinking a lot in that time as well. Something is stressing her out and talking about this, and I think deep down inside she doesn't actually believe this. I think what she's saying in defense to Lauren Southern, she doesn't actually believe it. It might be really, really deep down. I don't know. I've never met the person, and I can't outright call her a liar. I don't know her well enough, but she's being dishonest somewhere. This is a tell. We have in poker, you have tells. Someone expresses a tell, and you can know if they're bluffing or not. And this is the basic same principle. She's giving off a tell. When she says something, her eyes start blinking at different times. Other times she doesn't. So I think she's lying about something, but most likely she doesn't know. But let's deal with what she just said of, you're probably a cisgendered woman and you're attacking the transgendered community. You've probably never been raped. This is false equivalency. Now, this is something that we humans do a lot, that we try to make something that has no relevancy to the topic we're talking about, saying, hey, you haven't done this, so it means you can't know anything about this. Saying that because Lauren hasn't been raped means she doesn't understand that there are more than 2 genders. They're attacking her character, making assumptions, and that Lauren cannot be an expert on something simply because she hasn't been raped. She can't know that there are more than two genders unless she has been raped. Now, I'm not trying to find fault here or try to get offended. That is basically what she's saying. What does rape have to do with more than two genders? What does more than two genders have to do with transgenderism? Being transgendered. And I posted down below in this video. Here you can see my comment here about that, where I kind of I defend her point, but I go into a greater detail about it. So, but these things have nothing to do with the idea of there being more than two genders. And yet she has to bring it in as a way to attack her character. Now, if the topic of conversation of what does a rape victim go through, then she could use the argument of, well, you haven't been raped, so you can't ever fully understand what a rape victim goes through. And that is fair. That would be a valid point. You know, unless you have gone through something, you can never truly understand what a person goes through. But that's not the point being made here. Now, this is also an argument of ignorance. That because Lauren is ignorant in the subject means that she can't know anything about another. So, false equivalency and argument of ignorance. Once again, this is putting her on the defensive. But notice the girl's face. Look at her. Right there. She's getting desperate. She's trying to attack it every way possible. And Lauren is not letting up. She goes on to say that she's privileged. The girl in gray is like, well, you're just privileged, which we'll see in just a moment. So now her points can be undermined. Again, false equivalency. But it also makes an assumption that if you don't share our point of view, if you're not part of our in group, then you must be someone bad. And thus, we are allowed to attack you in a way that we would find reprehensible if you did it to us. In this way, they are making Lauren an inhuman. They're unpersoning her. Because they don't agree with her point, they're trying to attack her character in any way possible, so she's no longer a person in their eyes. And thus, when they do these dirty tactics that they wouldn't want done to themselves, it's okay, because Lauren is not part of the in group. And when you watch this again, if you watch this on your own, take what I'm saying into consideration and watch it through, and you're going to start seeing a pattern. You're going to start seeing the things that I'm talking about. Epilepsy. Her head is ready to explode with the bullshit that she's spewing from her mouth. Eric Martin, good to see you, sir. It's like a capacitor that's about to start smoking. All right, so is there anything else I want to say on this? So at this point, Lauren, throughout this whole thing, is not letting them gain a foothold. And she is escalating the issue only because she's not letting them get anything in edgewise. They keep attacking and she keeps addressing their points. But she does keep trying to bring it back to the original thing that they're talking about. And in escalating this situation, these women are getting more and more desperate. Look at that face. That is a face of a desperate woman. She wasn't prepared for this. She didn't think anyone could question her like this. And she's running scared. But you know what they say about an injured animal? An injured animal, animal is most dangerous when it's injured. So let us go ahead and continue.
Attack helicopter, so it's really offensive.
You sound like you're speaking from a very privileged point of view here.
Very privileged.
Yes.
I would like you to use my pronouns if you could. They're I, me, and my.
So now you're mocking the LGBTQ community now.
I have lots of LGBTQ friends, and they don't get professionally offended at everything.
just because you have LGBTQ friends doesn't mean that you're not homophobic or biphobic or transphobic. That's like me saying, oh, I have black friends, so I'm not racist.
My LGBTQ friends are usually male and female and not some unicorn gender that's been made up.
That's so hateful. You're just like erasing. Yeah.
Construct. Gender is a social construct, right? And I don't have boobs. That's just a social construct. Oh, and penises don't exist, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's male and there's female. There are two biological genders. Science exists. I'm sorry to tell you all that science exists, but it does. There is biology, there is science. I mean, you can live in your magical made-up world with trigger warnings.
Friends, you don't hear you talking right now because
I don't think they'll come out of the woodworks and defend me, guaranteed. Because I've got lots of friends. That's great.
And you know what? I'm finding a lot.
Did you notice it? Here, let me pull back just a little bit.
Because I've got lots.
Watch the girl in gray.
That's great. And you know what? I'm finding a lot of what you're saying extremely offensive.
That's great.
And I'm sure that
She's doing the blinking again. And in this case, she's saying, well, I find a lot of what you're doing offensive. No, she wants to be offended. She doesn't actually find it offensive. And that's pretty easy to discern what her lie is there. That she's triggered. No, she's not. She's just trying to say that to get Lauren to stop because she believes that if she says she's triggered, then the world should stop whatever it is doing and appease her. And she probably uses this trick within her circle of friends. She probably uses it against anyone that tries to go up against her. And then and if they don't, then she uses it as a way, well, you're just triggering me and blah, blah, blah. Consider what happened to Christina Hoff Sommers. She triggered a dog. Come on. Triggers do happen. There are actual triggers in the world, but it tends to only happen in the most extreme of cases and tends to be common only for people with post-traumatic stress disorder. She is not triggered. And her eyes are telling us that she's not triggered. Hello, Sharpie Fool? Sharpie Fool? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. All right, so where am I? All right, so we only got a little bit more to go through, so let's get through this.
I know a lot of
loud, and I mean, science probably disagrees with you.
Validate those people's experiences, like transgender people. That's so important to their lives and their identity and their happiness and their well-being and their health. How can you say no? How can you deny the existence of these people's identities and their need to have that well-being?
They can do whatever they want. That doesn't mean science or myself have to agree with you believing you are agender, you believing you're a demigirl or some non-existent gender that's been made up.
It's non-existent. It's incredibly important to them.
You know what else is important? Science, facts, and biology. Those are also very important to the advancement of the human race, to treating people's diseases, to reproduction.
Transgender too. Doesn't mean that they're not a real person with a real body and a real neurology.
I don't know why I'm talking about trans people. I don't deny trans people existence.
You do.
How do I deny their existence?
You just say, oh, there's only a male and a woman, or male and female.
I said there's male and female. Yeah, how does that deny?
So, once again, moving the goalpost. Rather than address what Lauren is saying, they are moving the conversation somewhere else to put more pressure on Lauren to defend her point of view, even though her comment has nothing to do with that. Rather than address what Lauren said. You know, it's like, oh, well, you're talking about gender and all of that. Well, you're just denying the existence of transgendered people. No, she never said anything about transgendered people. Now, if you believe that there are more than two genders, then technically, yes, she could be saying that, but they're not more than two genders. And in fact, a transgendered person is a person who's trying to change their biological sex from one to the other. That's transgendered. And what Lauren is saying is that there are only two. Let us go ahead and continue.
Transgender people's existence.
Because there are more than two binaries.
I said there's male and females. How does that attack transgender?
Well, just how you're talking about it right now, and you're mocking transgender people, saying.
So Lauren is bringing the question. It's like, okay, how am I doing this? How am I being offensive? And when given, it was like, well, it's just what you're saying. Okay, what is it that I'm saying that's wrong? And she can't come up with anything. Lauren has cornered her. Oh, yeah. And she has difficulty defending her position. She keeps putting it back on Lauren to carry the conversation by making accusations only without any substance to what her point of view is. This could also be because she's in public and there's a camera on her. And certainly when there's a camera on me, I get a little bit nervous, even with doing the webcam. But definitely out in public with people watching, I can shy up a little bit. So I'm willing to give her the reasonable doubt that, being in that environment might be a little bit hard on her. But at the same time, she is bitten off more than she can chew, and is trying to keep the focus on Lauren. She's trying to deflect. And this is just a natural thing that we humans do. Warped reflection. Trans people identify male or female. She had me at attack helicopter. Is she like a Hind D or an Apache? That's my question. She's an attack helicopter. Is she Russian or Native American? I'm sure there are others, but those are the only two helicopter types I can think of. All right, where am I? All right, so let's play a little bit more.
If I call myself, as you said, if I call myself a helicopter, then I must be a helicopter, and everyone needs to respect that.
You do realize that there are trans people that have male and female hormones, and that.
Watch this girl's eyes. Watch how she focuses on Lauren, and then watch what happens after that.
There are people that are actually hermaphrodites. That's a bio. I'm saying when you make up a gender like a demigirl or say you're genderless, that's a bit different. There's actually a nuanced debate to have with transgenderism. I'm talking about your made up genders that don't exist. That you're they, and them, whatever. There's the she and he.
It's just really disgusting how you just belittle what people want to call them, what they deserve, and how they see themselves.
Can I identify as an attack helicopter? Am I allowed to do that?
Okay, so before we really take a look at her eyes in this situation, so at this point, she has looked directly at Lauren. She believes wholeheartedly what she has. But I want you to pay attention to her eyes right at this point when Lauren is about to corner her. Because at this point, hold on, let me play a little bit more.
I don't think that would be genuine or that has any basis in reality.
Can I identify as an attack helicopter? Am I allowed to do that?
I don't think that would be genuine or that has any basis in reality.
If I genuinely did and it was my reality, could I do that?
I'm not going to even go there because that's not the case and you can't make that comparison.
If someone identifies as a cat, can they do that? There's lots of people who have that reality.
Don't agree.
Bam! Right there. Notice what she did. She looked away. Not once to look somewhere else, several times. This is another tell. Now, it's not necessarily that she's lying, but it definitely represents a stress in what she feels. She wants to tell Lauren, no, you can't be that. But then when being asked, well, can someone be a cat? She wants to say yes, but she knows if she says yes to one, she has to say yes to the other, and she doesn't want to. Instead, she kept deflecting the question when asked, well, can someone be an attack helicopter? And she, once again, we see that she's trying to take the attention away from her and saying, well, I just don't think that's appropriate. I don't think that's an appropriate question. And then Lauren takes it to the next level and asks about kittenkin. Like some likely, and this girl, by her eyes, I can tell this is something that she believes can happen with how stressed she looks. She's flustered. She knows Lauren has trapped her. She is basically a deer caught in headlights. She just doesn't know what to do at this point. It's like, oh my God, how do I get out of this? I need to leave, but I can't leave. So, Apache. All right, let me jump back just a little bit so you can see this again. Her eyes are very confident there. Watch what happens next.
Comparison.
If someone identifies as a cat, can they do that? There's lots of people who have that reality.
Don't agree with you. I think you're hateful.
Do you think that someone can be identified as a cat?
I'm not going to talk about this.
No. There's lots of people in the news that identify as animals. Why can't they do that?
Like a waste of time to talk to you.
Seems like a waste of time to talk to her. Lauren has not given them an inch. Lauren takes every point they have and asks for further clarification, while pointing out their logical fallacies. These girls are not prepared for that, so they are attempting to retreat, but do so in every way that doesn't make them look bad. It's kind of like the schoolyard thing. You can't turn your back on a bully. Because one, it makes you look like a coward, but at the same time, it leaves you open for a sneak attack, basically. And it's the same mentality here. They can't leave and let Lauren believe she has done anything good. But they don't want to be here. And you can tell by their posture that they're very uncomfortable. So, basically, Lauren is the problem, and Lauren cannot understand. And that's the defense that she's using right now. And this is what we call self-serving bias. Now, let me go ahead and talk about self-serving bias right now. Self-serving bias is basically the idea that you are not responsible for your actions. Now, this is something we see a lot with social justice warriors, that someone else is always responsible for your actions. Like, if you do bad, then you were caused to do bad. Oh, a woman beat up her husband? Oh, it's not domestic violence. He pushed her to do that. This is more for an individual, though, and what she's doing here is, instead of addressing her points on anything she has to say, she's instead saying, oh, well, you just can't understand. Saying that it's Lauren's fault for the way this conversation has gone. This way she can protect her ego, because face it, our egos are very fragile. Social justice warriors and feminists especially, but all of us have fragile egos, some more than others. And we will do anything we can to try to protect it at all costs. But, so what she's doing is trying to deflect, trying to push it onto Lauren, and in her mind is blaming Lauren that she cannot understand. She's too hateful. Listen to her words. This is exactly what she's doing. And look at that face. She's very uncomfortable. All right, let's go ahead and jump some more.
Entity? Logical condition, we've actually gone past the point to, we don't believe that science, as you say, psychology does not see people who are homosexual being.
I don't know why you're bringing up homosexuality. Can someone yes or no, be a cat if they want to identify as that.
You're comparing apples and oranges here, because you're talking about a psychological condition, whereas someone's sexual identity and sexual orientation is not a psychological
I'm
condition.
not talking about sexuality, we're talking about gender.
No, but
Keep up with the
you're comparing apples and oranges with both these.
I don't think you have any idea what we're talking about. I think you're just triggered and offended in here.
You're trying to manipulate people's words in this.
Trying to manipulate people's words in this. Something that this woman has done quite a lot in this conversation. Go back and look. All of these girls have tried to manipulate what Lauren has said and tried to redirect it in another way. Oh, so you don't believe that it's rape unless there's evidence? She didn't say that, but you're manipulating her words. You're putting words in her mouth that she never said. And now this girl in gray is accusing her of doing just that. Often people accuse one another of actions that they do themselves. It's another aspect of self-serving bias, more specifically, justification. In this girl's mind, Lauren is manipulating people's words, so then it's okay to do the same thing. Of course, this is more of on the subconscious level, and that this girl likely doesn't know that she herself was manipulating Lauren's words, or trying to. And if you were to bring it up to her, it's like, well, you were doing that. No, I wasn't trying to do that. She will do everything to defend her point. She will never take the responsibility that she is doing what she accused Lauren of doing, and never even acknowledge that Lauren wasn't doing that. Yeah, Lauren is being a little bit on the hardball side, but, you know, she is actually bringing up very good points that none of them want to answer. Any question she has asked, they have not answered. They've always tried to change the conversation. Now, notice right before this how her speech was chopping up. She kept having pauses or saying "us," you know. She was like saying something and trying to make a point. She was doing William Shatner. She was Shatnering it. Is that a word, Shatnering it? Again, she is desperate to put Lauren in her place. She wants Lauren to be put in her place to throw her off track long enough that she can run away and Lauren won't feel like she is won. So let us actually go through the rest of this, and then I have one more speaking point before I finish. Let me check the chat log. Okay. I demand respect for my identity as a white Scottish kin. Nobody has the right to oppress my white Scottishness. I deny your white Scottishness. I like to see Lauren blow shit up. Can't be the only one of these people need to be forcibly committed for intense psychological deprogramming. Oh, you think? Okay. Yeah, they really do. And this is why I often say that feminism, at least this feminism, is a cult. Because they're only repeating what they've been told. They never have really thought for themselves. And it's sad, but it shows. Look how flustered they are. Look how defensive they are. Look how they deflect. This is indication that they never thought for themselves. You're not the only one. Yeah, you're not the only one, Sharpful. Sharpie? I like Sharpie. Feminism didn't teach me we could be wrong. Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. All right, so let us continue on.
That's what you're doing.
Sorry guys, there's only two genders, female and male. Also,
Shut up. Yeah, you're embarrassing yourself. Go home, you're drunk now.
this is extremely Controversial to say. Science and facts, extremely controversial. I want her now.
Hey, easy. Hey. Who dumped the water on Lauren's head?
I don't know who that was. That was a woman somewhere.
Walked away that way.
Okay, so we were just kind of engaging. You were engaging in a little bit of a conversation with a couple of self-identified feminists, and then got water dumped or something dumped all over you. What on earth just went down?
I'm hoping that it is pop. I think it is pop, but it could be piss. I don't know.
They seem to have been rather flustered by some of the things you were saying. Well, first of all, what do you think of the turnout for this non-event tonight?
Well, there were a lot of people to protest no one showing up to speak, surprisingly. And they came out here to commit illegal acts. They did not come, well, at least a few of them, not all of them. Some people came out here for a genuine debate. But some people came out, they were wearing masks. You don't wear masks at a political event unless you want to hide your identity to do something illegal. There was a toss-up, a fight. I had stuff pouring all over me after I got into a debate with someone. And the guy who poured it on me got into a fight with someone who defended me.
It goes to show how far they're willing to take it just to silence somebody.
The girls over there are laughing at me now for being attacked because they just think it's hilarious for when people are silenced, when people they.
So this is the last point I want to talk on. Now I'm not going to really talk about the piss being poured on her. Enough people have talked about that, and there's really nothing new that I have to say on that. It's outright disgusting that someone did that to her. But what's worse is while this shit does happen and it's unfortunate, is that the other girls laughed at her. Oh, we don't actually see them laughing, but we definitely hear them hooting. Ooh! You know, that's what we were hearing at that time. They were just like, oh my God. They weren't laughing, but hooting. So again, this is evidence that they no longer see Lauren as being human. So her getting attacked is okay. Now, if these girls got attacked by someone on the opposite side, they would be like running to the newspapers, running to the news media about how they got attacked. But when it happens to someone else, well, they can just laugh and think, well, karma's a bitch, you know? And this really shows their hypocrisy. They're trying to be there to defend women. And then, yes, a woman disagrees with them, but gets attacked and they laugh about it. Because once again, this goes back to in-group bias. This goes back to devaluing her as a human being, devaluing her as a girl. You're not part of our group, so anything bad that happens to you, we like. You know, someone could have came up and shot you, and we would probably have laughed. I hope that's not the case. Certainly, I don't want anything bad to happen to Lauren, but it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder what violent actions could have happened to Lauren for them to finally say, like, wait, this is actually bad. We should do something. And instead, just sit there and hoot about it. I mean, if they had expressed their sorrow or their disgust at what happened, it might show some character on their side that maybe they believe, they practice what they preached, that they're there for women. And if a woman gets attacked, you know, they want to do something positive. They want to go on Twitter and it's like, hey, Lauren got attacked when having a debate. We don't agree with what she said, but we're disgusted by this. But what this ended up being is this was an out. They got a chance to leave this conversation. Lauren gets attacked, scuffle, and they can then move away from Lauren and not have to talk to her, not have to deal with any point that Lauren addressed. Because they were already running scared. They were already desperate. And I'm willing to bet that the person who did this did so just to allow the women to leave, because they were wanting to. You could see it in their faces. They were really trying to get out of that situation, trying to deflect. So I don't know. I won't say that I think these girls were behind it, but I think someone was doing it for their benefit. So I won't start with conspiracy theories that, they did this because they disagreed with her. But someone definitely did this for the girl's benefit, and that's the only purpose of doing it. Yes, you can be Scottish and Scottish kin. Only if I can be a kiltkin. Anyways, as I said at the beginning of this, what we see in this video is a really great representation of human behavior. Now, human behavior, what we see in this video is something that we all experience some point in our lives. That feminists and social justice warriors are not unique in this. But it does seem like that feminists are more likely to exhibit so many of these behaviors at the same time. Because as I mentioned, they've never really thought for themselves. They never really questioned anything. They just accept it as truth because they want it to be true. And this video, what Lauren went through is awful. But what she captured in video, what she brought us, was something wonderful, because we get to see human interaction. We get to see the follies of human interaction at its best. How desperate these women were to attack her character, to tear her down, to change the subject, to not address anything she had to say. Now, I know many of you who watch me, you're not writers, and you probably know a lot of this stuff already. But anyone out there in the movement that wants to write fiction like I do, study this video. Really look at all the things that I named off. Look through this video that I just did again, and then watch the original video, and you'll start seeing that. So, like I said again, I really try to keep my writing life separate from my activist life. I try not to cross them over, but this is too much of a golden opportunity not to do that. So I hope you all can appreciate what I've done for you today. And when I started watching this all became so apparent to me. It's like, oh, I noticed that. Oh, I noticed her blinking. So hopefully any of you who are not writers who watch this video again can gain a new appreciation for what you're seeing in this. Because especially the girl in the gray sweater, she was being dishonest about something. And it's even possible she's being dishonest with herself and doesn't know it. But she's having difficulty pushing this bullshit out of her mouth. As I think, Warped Reflection said? Or someone else in chat, I don't want to look. But one of you all said it. And it's true. She has the difficulty of pushing this bullshit out of her mouth. And her eyes are the dead giveaway. Now, what is she lying? Maybe not consciously. She may not be aware that she is. I'm not going to call her a liar outright. Because, psychology and physiology are not exact sciences. They can only let us know something is up, not necessarily what it is. But I'm willing to believe that it's because deep down inside she doesn't believe this. That some part of her is saying, this is bullshit and you know it, but she wants to be special, so that overrides. Yeah, and that's a very good point there, Warped Reflection. There's a lot of women who are just too scared to speak out against these people at universities, so they just get along. And I've known people who are at universities that felt exactly that way. They didn't know what to do. Anyways, I thank you all for coming out. checking out my channel. Be sure to subscribe below, tweet it out to everyone you know, share it on Facebook and all those Facebook groups. And as always, I do have a Patreon, so if you like what I'm doing, want me to do more of it, consider donating, or just buy my book, because I'd rather have you buy something that I'd rather you just buy my book instead, you know, but that's just me. Anyways, also I'm doing a voice equality thing. Someone else set this up, but I think it's a good idea. Let's go ahead and sign these petitions to show Twitter, Facebook, and all of them that we're serious about the First Amendment right. We're serious about freedom of speech. So if you're in the US, Canada, Australia, UK, click there. If you're not in any of those places and still want to participate, click everywhere else and sign up. Anyways, that does it for me. Thank you everyone once again, and take care.